Hi, I'm Syreta Toson from Survivalist Tactics speaking. So happy to be here today with...
My name is Evan Foster. I own the Comedy Club of Columbia and Partner Up Advertising. I'm excited. Thank you for the invite, Syreta, and I'm excited to learn more about Survivalist Tactics.
Well, I'm excited to tell you about it. It is a little known story, but it's going to be a big story. And I cannot wait to tell more people and hopefully inspire them, hope to transform some lives.
Well, I think that you've got a road ahead of yourself where you'll be able to do that. Prepared a handful of questions here for Syreta, and we're going to jump right into some of the early days, your upbringing and all that. So,
okay.
If you would, please tell me what that was like.
Sure.
What your family was like. Was it a big family, small family?
Well, my family was a smaller unit because I was raised in a very, inclusive religion, but very exclusive at the same time. We were Jehovah's Witnesses, so we were not really allowed to go out into the community, even amongst our own family. So it was very small. However, there were some fissures, but there was love. And Jehovah's Witnesses do know the Bible. I won't touch on that too much, but I really felt like that gave me my speaking ability, and it gave me some faith for later on in life. I just didn't have, faith in their specific teachings. So my family is big, but because they weren't involved in this religion, we didn't really, we didn't hang out. I didn't get to know my bigger family.
Well, so without getting too much into all the religious, the church background there, were you like an active part of the church?
Yes.
Okay.
So much so. And do I have lots of regret behind that? I do. I never got to really be that kid in school that could participate in everything. I remember being 5 years old and them asking me to salute the flag. And I'm like, I can't. That is idolatry. That is false religion. What 5-year-old is using this verbiage? So I think from a early age, I was advocating for something, but I didn't know what direction that was leading to, because clearly I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I have faith. I believe in God, but that is not my religion. However, I was always used to speaking up.
And so, on top of just speaking, how does that still, what values, what traits, what skills do you still carry with you from then?
Well, I'm not scared of anything.
Good.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind. I'm not afraid to stick up for myself and others that need it. Mm-hmm. That'll come along too in this story.
Yeah, I feel like you sticking up for others will empower them to stick up for themselves.
Thanks.
Well, where does the name Syreta come from?
Well, I've heard it is Little Princess, but I was actually named after Stevie Wonder's first wife. And she had a song with Billy Preston. Ask me what that song is. I don't even know. But it was a #1 hit, and she later went on to a gospel career. But my dad named me after Stevie Wonder's first wife, but she had 2 E's. So it was easy to look at it and be like, oh, that's Syreta. And I love my name, always have, but if I had that second E, people could nail it every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what was your dream job as a child?
Well, that is insanity. I at one time thought I would be a good spy because I could keep a secret. And then I saw anything I saw on television I wanted to be. Like I saw Splash and I thought I could be a mermaid. I wanted to take baths all the time and maybe my tail would fly out. And then I saw a movie about being a truck driver. It was probably that old movie, I can't remember what it was, but it was a classic in the 70s, and they were just cool truck drivers, and I told my dad, and he was like, absolutely not. So I had and I always wanted to be a star, too, but what kid doesn't want to be on TV?
Star in what way, though? Like
a movie star.
A movie star? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be a movie star.
What kind of movie would you have starred in?
Any kind of, I'd be an action hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's me from present talking. When I was young, I didn't care what it was. Maybe like one of those Full House or something like that. I could be their hip little ethnic friend.
No.
But as an adult, action hero. Yeah.
Yeah. Going a little bit of the comedy from Full House, and now more like Wonder Woman.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Super Syreta.
Well, what's your dream job now?
To help and impact as many lives as I possibly can every day. no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing. I learned a skill a long time ago that if I'm going through something, that people in my life are just so shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, I remember I met you not too long ago, maybe like 8 months ago, and you were so used to me being upbeat that one day I was just going through it. And you're like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's okay. You know, I just want to perpetuate positivity and love, even if I'm in a bad space. That doesn't mean I have to shed that off on you. And I really feel like that's a skill that Survivalist Tactics will speak about more as we go along.
You know, I remember that day, and it was shocking. It was shocking because I walked in, and you were emotional. What I remember was that the next day, that day might have been a Friday, so I think it might have been a Monday, could have been the next day, but the next day that I saw you, you had the same smile on your face that you always have.
Thank you.
You were right back at it.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
There's a concept or a term. Have you heard of indomitable spirit?
I know what indomitable means, and it's not the snowman.
Yeah. Well, it's a term that I think you might sort of jive with a bit.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, so sort of tying into what you just spoke on, really, where do you find fulfillment?
I find fulfillment in just everyday things that people take for granted. As a formerly incarcerated person for 14.5 years of my life, I remember seeing trees pass an electric fence. There were no trees in the facility. So this morning and every day when I walk outside, I look at the trees changing color and they're leaves that fall. We would occasionally get leaves inside, you know, that had blown off a tree, and it would be like a leaf, you know, like just the small things in life that people take for granted. I feel like when I came out, I had brand new eyes. I saw all the little things that people don't. And I feel, and if I perpetuate that in the atmosphere, I don't understand how anyone could walk away and not see the beauty that is around you, no matter where you think it comes from. It's there. Soak it in, enjoy it.
Why do you think we get so wrapped up?
Because you have it every day.
I see.
I hate to cut you off, but because you have it every day, and you've never been without it. I hadn't seen a squirrel in 15 years almost.
Wow.
Imagine that with an electric fence. Nothing was getting in. We had some animals, a puppies for parole program. They weren't accessible to everyone, you know. I wanted to see animals. I wanted to have a tree. I wanted to be able to just go outside when I wanted to. All things that people take for granted. Having quality food, going to the grocery store. Yeah, I meet people and they're like, Instacart, I hate going to the grocery store. I love it. I love seeing all those things. And I know people who can't have access to maybe one shelf, one aisle in the grocery store is less than what we had to choose from.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about both sides, just one. Gratitude.
Yeah. It's amazing to me to hear just how like profound those things can be that I see every day, that we see every day and don't even think about.
That's why I keep this smile, because I remember times when I couldn't enjoy those normal things that most people take for granted.
Interesting. See, I feel like whenever you ask most people what fulfills them, it'd be some type of work or entertainment or sitting back and watching a movie after a long day of work, and that was just a very real answer that you just gave.
Thank you. Yeah, there's plenty of people who are incarcerated who have children, and they don't get to walk in the door and see those kids. And if those kids can't come see them, then your family, where's your family? You see them on occasion. They come in a visiting room. There's officers. A little known fact is your family and your visitors are treated like inmates as well, no matter where they're coming from. Yeah, they're going to be searched. They're going to walk through. I saw, as I left the facility, them patting down little 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds.
Wow. That's
their impression of a police officer or of a correctional officer now.
And who knows what that will do to that 4 or 6-year-old 10, 15, 20 years into the future.
Yeah, that's a future podcast. the ripple effect,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the smile that you carry and the positivity that you just try and spread, I mean, you radiate with it.
Thank you.
So I think that, altruism is something that we all sort of want to strive for.
Mm-hmm.
And, what you definitely carry that quality. You try to spread that. You try to work towards the greatest good.
Absolutely.
What does altruism mean to you if you were to describe it?
It means that every intentional action that you make, and even unintentional if you get really good at it, is to better someone, and you want nothing in return. Nothing. Now, I've always wanted to share my story and help as many people as I possibly could. And I never thought that it would ever be something that could sustain my way of life. And even if it isn't, the fact that I got to talk to someone like you, the fact that people are watching this, the fact that people can see the heart that I have after being through some madness, just evil people, bad places before and during my incarceration, then uplifting, Why bring another human being down when you have every opportunity to lift them up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like if you bring others down, even if you don't realize it or don't see it, you're bringing yourself down.
Absolutely. And the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You're perpetuating those feelings. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It's cyclical. And it comes back. And it can vibrate and get bigger. Like your faith. Your faith can get bigger and it can rub off on others. But your evil can too.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Would you then say that, so is altruism, is it synonymous with selflessness?
Very much so.
Okay. Completely,
Yeah.
or is there more to altruism?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm completely selfless. I had some parents that were going downhill, and I just am so happy to be able to take care of my mother, who took care of me and my son all those years. And is it selfless? I don't believe absolutely not. She thinks it is, but for me, it's my due diligence. Like this is something I'm grateful I get to do, but at the same time, that's an obligation.
Yep.
But it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like a burden.
Mm-hmm.
So that selflessness or that selfishness doesn't feel like a burden. Because sometimes I have to take a break for me, but I never do. Yeah.
Well, you have to say you can be your complete self for others.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I feel like if you're not thinking twice about it and you're just acting, that is selflessness.
Okay.
Well, when there's no second thoughts.
I will agree with you on that.
Well, that's a lot that we just spoke on, that the different qualities, the different desires you have to do, the good that you desire to do. Tell me how that is all incorporated into Survivalist Tactics and what you're wanting to do with that.
Okay. Well, I have experiences in my life which I was going down a wrong direction, and sometimes you can have influences in your life that will push you towards a worse end than maybe if you were just operating alone. So, got in this relationship, victim, instant moment, victimizer. I went to jail, and I was facing a life sentence for first-degree murder and armed criminal action. 2 guns on the scene. I didn't see the second gun, but when I did, I didn't even think about it. I just picked it up and started shooting. As a result, my boyfriend at the time, I murdered him. And my life changed. But I always would reflect back that I was, crying out, get me away from this man, get me off drugs, let me be a good mother to my son again. And God did all of those things, just not how I expected. So through the adversity, through the terribleness, I can smile. I can, even as this, was happening before I'd been sentenced, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're taking it so well. I said, because I fought for my life to be here. I'm not going to give up on it now. That is a principle that can transcend, because survivalist tactics speaking is actually about stealing your mind. That if you want to be that positive person, if you want to be that successful person, you can do it anywhere, because I was a success in the penitentiary.
So when you were in there, were you doing what you're doing now with other?
Right after my angry season, you know, because there's ebbs and flows in life. And I made a copy of this paper, but I actually have the original. And they handed it to me in August. It was August 10th of 2010, and it said that I would be eligible for parole in September of 2020, a decade later. So there were periods of time where I was just depressed, but I didn't know it. You know, I was putting on that front, that face, because I didn't want to bring others down, even though I was in a bad place. Then I came over this hump, and I started getting ready to leave. I still had 8 years left, but I just was determined that when I got out, I was going to take advantage of every opportunity that I possibly could to make sure no one went down that same road. Wow. And that the people who did go down that road, they have a voice now.
Yeah. You're a success story, and even not more than that, but just in congruence with that, you can show, you show that even those that have gone down that same road can end up right here.
Absolutely.
So I see where this can go and where you'll take it.
Thank you.
And I'm going to skip over a couple of the questions here, just because we just covered a lot. We just went deep.
We did.
You know,
I think you need to hit that last one.
Yeah, you know, I was going to ask you, at what point did you know that you were being called to empower others? But you've known for well over a decade now.
Yeah.
So that you just answered that hardcore.
Thank you.
You know, where do you see yourself in 1 year, and where do you see yourself in 5 years?
You know, I have some friends in my life, and I could be mayor of this town in 10 years if I wanted to. And I feel like I need to get into government. And no matter what your political beliefs are, and I won't espouse mine, but there is someone who is close to being a felon who is running for president. So if he can, who's to say that I can as well? I'm just going to set my expectations and my desires on whatever my higher power is telling me to do. And if it leads into a position where I can affect change throughout this global environment, because we are all humans and a part of this global thing that's bigger than us, then that's where I'll be. I'm going to be somewhere that's bigger than me.
Wow. That is shooting for the stars. And you know, what would you do? What would you do? Like, what sort of work would you do in a political office as opposed to survivalist tactics speaking?
Well,
how would it be different?
It wouldn't. The same thing I'm going to sit down and tell you right now is the same thing I'm going to do for any righteous cause.
Indomitable spirit.
Amen.
That's something.
Thank you.
Well, now before we cut off, is there anything that you want the viewers to know? Anything you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, sure. I just want to appreciate you and give you my gratitude for listening today. And I definitely want to invite you back, because there is a story that needs to be told. And it's a story of a lot of women. It's a story of a lot of men that are incarcerated, a lot of people who got themselves in situations that they would have never expected. And I want you to stay tuned. Thank you, Evan.
I feel like there's a lot to come. Thank you for having me here for the first episode. I'm excited.